I see what home chaps and chappets, Game Chap and Bertie here.
Yes.
Yes, indeed, fellows, and I dare say we are now discussing the new Samsung line of smart TVs, which it seems has been causing a bit of a furore recently about privacy.
Most certainly, yes indeed. Now, what's it all about? Well, these new Samsung TVs, quote, smart TVs.
Yes.
They do something, you see.
Really?
And also this smart thing is possibly going to apply to any of their current TVs that have that branding smart.
That are called smart.
Well,
yes.
they're smart, you see.
So what exactly
What's so
is
smart?
it?
Exactly. What's so smart about these TVs? What's so big about it? Well, it turns out that these internet-enabled TVs
Yes.
have rather handy voice recognition features.
Voice recognition.
Voice recognition. Now, which can pick up things you say, you see, because that's voice, isn't it?
Yes.
And translate them into commands for the TV, like switch a certain channel, for example.
That's right. So these commands, you can say them to the TV, and it's things like, I don't know, channel up, strange, smart hub, and hi TV.
Well, that's good, isn't it?
Well,
hi TV, isn't it? Doesn't it make you feel good when you say hi to your TV?
These are, of course, commands that the system is designed to pick up and respond to, and they seem to be quite broad to me, but anyway, the only little problem here, Vales, is that Samsung have revealed the TV is constantly listening for these so-called commands, and therefore it's constantly listening to everything you say.
Ah, so the television the little friendly little telly is listening for you to say things like hi TV and things like that.
Right.
But it's always listening for you to say that.
That's the
In
snap.
other words. Right.
Now, I'm going to quote you, Vales, from the Samsung privacy policy here.
Oh,
it says, please be aware that if your spoken words include personal or other sensitive information, that information will be among the data captured and transmitted to a third party through your use of voice recognition.
Ah, so now they've said now then, as you have just said, I'm just going to read that again for all the listeners that might have said, what was that? We'll say it again. Please be aware that if your spoken words include personal or other sensitive information, that information will be among the data captured and transmitted to a third party through your use of voice recognition.
So basically, things that you say that this TV deems necessary, it'll be sending out to a third party, and that could be things like personal information and sensitive information, good as be bank account balances, numbers and whatnot.
Well, of course, now I'm presuming you wouldn't know anything about that, of course, because, well, it's just listening, and if you don't say the things it expects you to say, like hi TV, it just sits there in the background getting on with listening to you.
Well, more about that in a moment, Isaac.
Right.
Now, social media compared this to an excerpt from George Orwell's novel 1984, where the main character could be heard by the powers that be within a certain distance of a TV screen, a bit like in real life with this very television set.
Well, that's amazing, yes, of course. I mean, perhaps you've seen on the internet those pictures of that chap there, and he's listening in a 1984 thing. But of course, yes, this is just like that. The television is sitting there listening to you.
My word.
I mean, it's not a person, it's just a thing, so it's easily disguised, you don't expect it to be there, but it is, of course, in a way, listening to you, and this whole thing has caused quite a stir, hasn't it?
This is very scary stuff, old chap.
Yes.
And even if you turn off voice recognition on the TV, Samsung may still collect your usage data so they can see exactly what you are doing on the TV set at any given time.
So, they're not just listening, they're collecting your data based on input, perhaps, to the television, what's actually going on.
So
perhaps which channel you're watching,
yes,
what you're watching.
Yes. Your viewing habits, what you watch, how long you spend watching the TV, very personal stuff.
So they can build an entire profile about you.
Oh, certainly. Now, this question comes next, of course. Who is this spoken data being sent to? The mysterious third party? Well, we've done some digging, haven't we, old chap?
We've been doing a little bit of digging, yes.
And who does that company happen to be, old boy?
Well, the company that this information goes to, that's behind this, is a company called Nuance.
Nuance?
Now, they're based in the United States, so everything you say is being blasted out there, if you're over here, or over there, if you're over there anyway, to this headquarters, as it were.
Yes, of this company called Nuance,
yes,
right.
Nuance. Now, these people are the ones that made a program called Dragon Naturally Speaking. Now, that was a program that basically you talked into your computer and it typed things for you.
That's right.
It was quite a good little program, and they did others from that.
In other words, speech to text is what we're getting at here.
Speech to text, you see.
Right.
And among their company services are other things such as, we've just said, speech recognition, PDF, consulting, and government contracts.
Oh no, you didn't say it, old chap, did you? Government contracts.
And government contracts. Well, that's okay. I presume they do a little bit of work.
It's cleaning.
For the government, perhaps they provide them handy little programs.
Yeah,
that's okay, isn't it? I mean, that's good.
Right, so the less said about that, the better. Now, some people have said, don't worry, because the TV is not always listening to you. It's all okay, don't worry. It's only really listening when it hears you say something like, hi TV, so it's all fine and there's no issue here.
Right, yes indeed.
But I think there's problems with that, old chap.
Well, yes, I can see two little problems with that, just straight off the bat.
As can I, yes.
Firstly, it has to be always listening by default.
That's right.
Because if it wasn't listening, then it couldn't hear you say hi TV in the first place.
Precisely. So whoever said it's not listening to you is telling a big fat lie, if you ask me, old boy.
So we've got this thing sitting here then.
Yes.
With its big ears, as it were, somewhere, listening to you. Yes, that's what you and me and everyone else out there in their front room, wherever they are,
yes,
or in their house, listening for you to say something. But of course, in order to hear you say that thing, it's got to be listening to everything you say.
That's right. So it is actually listening to everything you say. Now, I think perhaps the argument might have been there that don't worry, it's not always transmitting everything you say. And I mean, of course it's not always transmitting everything you say. Otherwise, the data storage would be huge. It'd be constantly using your internet connection all the time. It would be complete madness, fellows.
Well, of course.
However, we do know it is always listening to everything you say. I mean, for all we know, it could be recording everything you say.
Yes.
And also, when it hears you say something that it thinks matches its profile, it opens the connection and starts phoning home straight away with a live feed piped into what you're saying. That is complete madness, fellows.
Well,
total madness.
It's a little bit unprivate, isn't it? Now, some smart person might say, well, hang on a minute. No. It only actually picks up and sort of takes a note of things like high TV. Not everything else you're saying, well, you see, but even with that whole idea, if it can pick up high TV or whatever else, it means there's some form of program that they can perhaps manipulate or do their end, which can hit into or pick up certain words.
Trigger on certain words.
Trigger is the correct word, yeah. Certain words. So, could it not be then, perhaps in the wildest imagination somewhere, you could dig up the fact that they could perhaps put any word they wanted to at any time?
Very potentially.
That you said, and then that would be picked up as well.
Potentially without you knowing. Now,
without you knowing.
Of course,
yes.
Take for example, close matches, and this is where it gets very dangerous, fellows. I mean, if you're chatting away to someone in your living room and discussing the heights of certain buildings in the world and the skyscrapers, and you'll say, the height of the Empire State Building, stop, you're too late, you're already there, you've said it.
Yeah.
The height of the.
Height of the. Yes,
height of the.
Yes,
high TV. Right. Height of the. High TV. Do you see the similarity, old boy?
It's very similar.
Of course, to you and I, we know that I'm saying height of the instead of high TV, but to a machine, it could very easily confuse height of the with high TV.
Well, most certainly, and let's look at sort of smart hub. I mean, smart hub is another thing that it apparently recognises. Well, you know, you could be, if you're American, sitting in there, you might have your friend around or something, and maybe he does something, whatever, and you say, hey, that's smart, bud.
Smart bud.
That's smart bud.
Or you may be talking about using the bathtub.
Exactly, your bathtub.
And if you ask me their commands, they seem, I don't know, it just strikes me that these commands have been chosen to include lots of vowels.
Lots of vowels.
For example, channel up. I
Yes.
mean, who says channel up?
Exactly.
You don't say channel up. You say change the channel to blah. You don't say channel up. I mean, channel up's got an A, an E, and a U in there. Smart hub's got the A and the U, and high TV, well, that covers a lot of possibilities. So potentially, a lot of things you say could be misinterpreted, so they say,
yes,
by this TV set as being a command to the TV, and thereby you're saying things that are getting blasted out to America, or within America, if that's where you live, without you even knowing.
Well, exactly. So, or blasted out to the point where they collect the information. And of course, now something else there is, which is very important, I think. Now, what if something could hear you through your TV and see through your Xbox One Connect camera?
Oh, you've gone there, have you?
I had to go there.
I see. Right, indeed. So basically, they can see you through your Xbox One camera, and they can hear you through this TV set. I mean, they're getting a very clear picture of you in your living room now, aren't they?
Well, most certainly, yes, indeed.
I mean, that's quite scary, I have to say.
Now, some person might just pop up there right now, and I often hear this one. They think they're very smart when they say it. They turn around and say, but you haven't got anything to hide, have you?
No.
You don't need to worry. And you know, if anyone says that to you, always answer this way. Really? Is that the case? Do you draw your living room curtains at night?
Yes.
And then they say, well, yes. Say
Yes.
what for? You've not nothing to hide, have you?
Exactly.
You see, that's the thing.
It's a human instinct and nature to want privacy. It's a
Privacy, of course
basic
it is.
human thing that we all want. That's
Oh, yes.
That's why we close our curtains at night. That's why we don't necessarily go discussing Granny Dryden's affairs when we're out in the street, etc., and so forth. Every human wants privacy.
Privacy is very important.
So to sacrifice privacy in the name of, shall we say, security is, of course, as the old man said there once in the quote, an absolute disgrace, and no one can do that and expect to have any shred of privacy left by the time they're done.
Well, certainly.
But apparently, Samsung's advice is to avoid the living room if you want to have a nice family conversation with some privacy. I don't know.
Wait a minute.
What's that?
They actually said that.
They said along the lines of, if you want to have some privacy on your conversations, avoid the living room. I mean, it's bloody absurd.
Right, okay, so I'd like to talk about, talk about some, and all of a sudden someone just jumps on me. I'm just sitting in there, and another family member just comes jumping like a rugby tackle, just tackles you onto the floor and what are you doing? No, don't say it.
Not in front of the TV.
Not in front of the TV. Because they've got their hand over your mouth.
Exactly.
And they drag you out by your hair to another room. For goodness sake, don't say it in there. Say what for? The telly's listening. The TV's listening. Oh my goodness.
Actually,
thank goodness for that.
I think you had that wrong. Surely he's saying, Niet, comrade, not in front of TV set. Yes. Comrade will hear us.
Yes, it could be, yes.
I mean, we're there, aren't we? That's where we are.
Well, yes,
we must be there now. I mean, perhaps you have to go to the attic or something and whisper quietly so you don't get hurt by the steak.
Yes, but what if you've got another television in the kitchen and another one of them upstairs in your bedroom? What are you going to do? You'll have to go out to the dog kennel with the dog and start talking.
And the dog's got a TV set as well.
And what's it? The dog's got one because he likes watching little puppies. Then you're finished.
You're finished.
It's all over.
You can't say anything ever again. You're just mute for the rest of your life.
Just shut up and write everything from now on.
But they'll see that because they've got an Xbox One camera.
Of course they will. So that's so. So what do you do? That won't work. Now what?
Thoughts. You'll have to send thoughts to people. And
you'll have to practice your thinking.
Yes, exactly, Vale. So you can see where the lunacy of this might go. I mean, there was actually on TV once, I do recall a very clear example of this misinterpretation. Did you ever watch the A-Team, old chap?
The A-Team? Oh, yes, lovely.
With Mr. T and B.A. Baracus. Well, in one episode, as you know, Mr. T doesn't like getting on planes. I ain't flying on no plane, sucker, he said. And they taught him a word once, which was eclipse, and when they said that, he would fall asleep, you'll see, so they had to put it on the plane. However, they were in a firefight once, and one of the other members of the team ran out of ammo, so he said, gimme clips.
Gimme clips.
Gimme clips. And of course, Mr. T fell straight to sleep in the middle of the firefight because it was the word. It was triggered with the same sound.
It sounded the same as eclipse, exactly.
Eclipse. So therefore, you could have the same situation with this TV, thinking you're saying smart hub, but you actually meant bathtub or height of the, and it means high TV.
Exactly. So similar sounding words. Now the thing is, though, at the moment we've just got one of these, but where could this go? Could this go and become? Could all televisions become like this? Could all other appliances perhaps do this type of thing?
Yes.
And of course, everything's connected to the internet nowadays. Most things are connected into the internet, gaming consoles and all sorts of other things. Where could it go from here?
Let's take this thing one step further, old boy. As we know from Super Smash Bros. On the Wii U gamepad, there's a microphone. I mean, how far are we going to take this, old chap?
Cars, voice command cars, things like that.
Yes.
Where could it go? Now,
but seriously, of course, Samsung are the only ones to have outright said we're going to send your speech data to a data processing company, which is ridiculous.
That's absolutely amazing. Yes. And the data processing company has in the past done some work for the government contracts. That's okay, isn't it? I mean, that's all right.
Yeah.
Yes. So what we can see, I mean, what do you out there think about all this? Is it something that you'd want? Do you think, well, I think that's okay. I mean, a television that answers my commands. It's pretty cool, as it were. I think that's rather good.
Well,
something I'd like to have. I don't really care about that. I couldn't care less. Or do you think, well, hang on a minute. Yes, I want to have that, but I don't think I want my privacy as well.
To be honest, I think this announcement was very poorly timed from Samsung fellows because, of course, up until recently, people were very sceptical of this thing of, Big Brother's watching you. They thought, oh, that's a load of rubbish. Of course they aren't. But then there was a huge revelation about the spying scandal that's been going on with many people finding their phones tapped and emails tapped, etc. and so forth. A very big thing that was a couple of years ago or a year ago, I think.
Yes.
So perhaps people now will be much more cautious when it comes to things that are listening to them. I mean, it's not very friendly, old chap.
Well, most certainly, no, indeed.
On a very serious note, it's not friendly, and that's not the sort of thing you really want in your living room if you can avoid it.
Well, most certainly, where will it all go?
Just a moment, I've just thought of something, old chap. Do you suppose we're being listened to right now? They're not hearing everything we're saying, are they? What have we done? Look, turn the microphone off.
No, we were just having a chat.
Yes,
Well, wait a minute, we didn't mean all this, we were just having a chat.
We're just talking, no, ignore that, it was all a joke. Anyway, this has been Game Show and Blood. Yes. Join us again, I say. We'll see you then. Until then. And that was a close one, old boy.
Goodness me, oh dear.